You are powerful, radiant, and so much more capable than you realize. Welcome to You've Got It, the podcast that helps you reignite your energy, confidence, and joy so you can step into the next chapter of your life fully aligned in mind, body, heart, and soul. I am Isabel von Bötticher-Fouchard, your host, holistic health and personal leadership catalyst. I'd like to welcome today my guest, Dominique Ben Dhaou, to this podcast. And Dominique definitely has got it. She's a career reinvention expert, an executive mentor, author, and entrepreneur. And I love the multitasking, the multi titles that she has, because they really reflect the diversity and the multitude of facets that she represents. So Dominique and I met a couple of years ago online and only recently met in person, which was very touching and beautiful. And she struck me with her life path because she also, like me, is living between at least two cultures, and has drastically changed her career in midlife. So welcome, Dominique.
Thank you so much, Isabel. So excited.
I would like you to tell us right away about your former life, your first career, if I may say so, and why you did decide to build up your own business.
Well, I have a background of 30 years. It sounds so huge when I say it. 30 years of corporate career, mostly in large multinationals, but also in very small organizations. And although I had a great team, I had a lot of autonomy in my work, traveling a lot, which is one of my passion. So it was apparently looking not so bad. However, in the last company and the last role where I had a global responsibility over 150 countries, almost 100,000 employees, which were 100,000 good reasons to be tired in the evening. I realized that the last few years I had undone and redone or rebuilt my function with all the top senior leadership changes that had occurred, which is part of corporate life. However, I was getting close to my 50th birthday, and I started thinking, is that what I want to do for the next 15 years? Because in Switzerland, the retirement age is at 65. So assuming I wanted to work until the age of retirement, I thought, is that what I really, really want? And obviously, once you start asking yourself the question, the answer was obviously no. But between the time I realized that and the time I actually resigned from my C-level position, I really made sure that I was well prepared, that I had discussed that with my husband and my family. I didn't mention anything to my boss, to my team. I didn't look for another job simply because I was working, 14 hours every day, most weekends and vacation as well. So I didn't really have time to look for the after, but I had that conviction that once I would have time and space, mental space, I would take the right decision and I would find something that would be suitable to me. At the time when I resigned, I didn't have the idea to create my own business. That came after I had stopped, and after I started looking for, new corporate roles. That's when I realized I needed something more, and the reasons were various. Passion for creation, a need for freedom and autonomy, a need for impact and influence, a need for having fun and joy in my working life. And also because I had a number of good friends and colleagues who who left us, and passed away at my age. And I thought, if that's life, I don't want to reach a point where I said I should have, I could have, and I have not. So there's a number of reasons for that, but they were all good reasons for me.
So you really left that old corporate career, if I may say so, without exactly knowing what you would do, only knowing you would do something else. Was there also some kind of fear connected to like doing that step?
There was a roller coaster of emotions. There were excitement, joy, pride, and doubts. The what if I don't find something I really like? What if there's nothing where I'm going to be, have that sense of fulfillment, where I'm going to be happy? What if, I don't like it? What if people, make fun of me? What if all these what if, at times were creating doubts? But I had one certainty, is that knowing myself, and that's the beauty of not being too young, having experience, is that you know yourself a little bit more than when you're 20 or 25. And I certainly didn't know myself a little bit better. So what I knew is that I'm not afraid of working. I can be quite creative. I'm not afraid of failing neither. And there were a number of skills that I knew. And I thought, you know what, if I don't find something else in the corporate world, because for me to become an entrepreneur was not even an idea. It was not even an option. Um, I could do many jobs. I know how to drive. I can become a taxi driver in Geneva. And so I had that conviction that whatever happens, I would have the support of people who love me, and not being afraid of working. I would find something to do. So that was for sure for me.
I love this playfulness that you bring along in this pretty, how should I say, important transition that you were in.
Mhm.
Right? It is a big thing when we suddenly decide, like, this is not the job I want anymore. This is not the way I want to do it. And like, maybe I want to go into entrepreneurship, but you didn't even know then. And you might just want to change industry or just the company. But like, it is so powerful to then also take it a little bit easy and have this approach of like, okay, I'm ready for it and let's do it. And you said like, and being ready to fail. I like to say like, we don't really fail, or we fail forward as we learn from things that haven't worked. And so this is where I want to like a little bit go deeper into your decision to change without knowing what would come next. What would you say was the main success factor for you to then build your business? Like, how did you go to that moment when you knew this is what I want to do?
It was a moment of bliss. Those time when you say, wow, that was quite a moment, which I didn't realize on the spot. And I'll tell you the story. I had stopped working towards September, October. I had gone to interviews. Um, I had considered becoming an entrepreneur, but I wasn't really sure that it was made for me, for a number of limiting beliefs that I had at the time. And it's people who have been talking to who started to put a seed in my brain that maybe my future could be outside of corporates, but I was really not sure. And you were talking about emotions and things that can come in the way. It was on the 31st of December that same year. I was cooking dinner for, 31st of December dinner. And I had registered for a webinar like we all do. We receive a lot of emails with a lot of great webinars or great things that we can listen to. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna cook dinner, and it was in the morning, and I would listen to the webinar, and why not? Instead of listening to the radio, I'll listen to the webinar. And 4 or 5 hours afterwards, I was still listening to the webinar, and I thought, that's a long webinar. Usually, it lasts an hour and a half. And here I was for a few hours still listening, and it didn't look like it was finishing very quickly. And I looked at the registration again, and it was saying it was like an 8 hour or 9 hours webinar. And I thought, wow, that's a long one. But it was so interesting. And it was about neurosciences. It was about emotions, doubts, entrepreneurship, and so on. And at the end of the webinar, like it often happens, we could register to have to work on our mindset to change life. And I thought, why not? What do I risk? And I did, and that was probably one of the best decision in my transition, which were followed by a few other coincidences. And the next day, when I woke up on January 1st, it was so crystal clear that my path forward would be entrepreneurship. And I started writing down what I could do, love to do, with whom, how it would turn out, and so on. I had a plan, and my brain started working as it had. It was on pause for a few months. It started working and working and working, and that's how it started. Followed by a number of other great meetings or great discussions I had with other people.
But you then already knew, because as I introduced you with all these different titles, did you then already knew that your entrepreneurship would be around coaching, mentoring?
I had that as I knew I didn't want to go into products or in something that was totally different. But what I knew is that I love helping people. I love making a contribution. I love impacting life. And so that became quite clear quite early. But I had no idea about all the rest. I didn't have an idea about boards, about writing a book, about being so successful an entrepreneur. I had no idea what would come next, but I knew I wanted to impact the life and help people who, like me, had lost their their passion, their energy into their work, but didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do, didn't know what next could be. So that became quite clear early, yes.
So clarity was definitely one important step, right, into this, like going into the new life. That moment was no, okay, now I know this is it. And then it's about
Yeah.
staying playfully moving on step by step, right? We do not necessarily always have to have the whole thing figured out. Like, okay, I know my business has to be like this and I have to employees or da 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 da. No, just like taking the first step and having the clarity about it.
Absolutely. There was, in my view, there are two ingredients, and that's where I always start with the people that I support and help and guide. One is clarity, as you mentioned, not clarity on the business model, not clarity on the prices, not clarity on the details of the support, but the clarity on why it's important. That
The
is,
clarity within, that's what I call it, the clarity within.
yeah, absolutely. So that's one ingredient. And the other one is confidence. If you've got clarity on your why, on your purpose, on your clarity within, and you've got the confidence that it can work, the rest are, I wouldn't say details, but there are logistics gears that you put in place with time.
I would definitely agree. And people who are listening to this might not know that you were one of my first coaches and mentors in this same way when I started to go into my entrepreneurship. And it was exactly this moment of feeling complicity, of understanding, of feeling understood by somebody who had been there where I wanted to go and could help me and guide me through these first steps. So your life now is like you are the successful coach, mentor, author, and I love this career reinvention expert, because this is definitely what you were also for me. And is there moments where you would say like, my God, this is still again the same as before. I'm completely stressed all the time, and I have to change something about this? Or is it like your whole new life is like, no, I'm fine. Everything is like as I wanted it to be as an entrepreneur?
That's a very good question. So there's two parts. Doubts or stress or overwhelm about the notion of working, that is long gone. You know, that feeling, usual feeling I had on Sunday evenings, thinking, oh, tomorrow is Monday morning and another week is starting. That is a feeling I haven't felt for years now. I wouldn't know, to make the difference between a Sunday and a Monday in terms of feeling great, because my Sundays are great and my Mondays are great. So there's no difference between work and fulfillment in terms of overall life. This being said, I think it would be a lie to say that the life of an entrepreneur is a smooth cruise where everything is, golden, happy, and easy. That's not. That's not. And that's the beauty of it. Is since I've created my company and another company with a colleague of mine, um, I've learned so much about myself, about tactics, techniques, um, new skills, competencies. To be an entrepreneur is totally different from working in corporate. In corporate, when you have a problem with your computer, with your phone, and so on, you call the helpline, and they come and solve it for you. When you're building a budget or when you need help in accounting, you call up accounting and they prepare it for you, or they work with you and they help you out. When you're an entrepreneur, you have multifaceted roles, and these responsibilities are not stable over time. Things change in terms of how to run a business, how to recruit a team, how to do your marketing, how to work with your clients. What I do today has nothing to do with what I had done a few years, not because I've changed job or I've changed services and so on, but the way of doing things have totally changed. And I keep on learning and adapting my tools, techniques, logistics, my team, and so on. It keeps adapting as the external world changes as well. I would be long dead if I had not evolved and adapted to new ways of doing things. My business I would probably not be dead, but my business would have been dead by now if I had not adapted. So no, it's not a quiet, um, stable, secure life, but I feel more alive than before. I feel I'm really making um, a life out of my days. And it's not like waiting that time goes by and waiting and that the end is finishes, or worrying that the day finishes because I haven't done my job. Um, the notion of time is totally different. But no, it's not an easy cruise, but that's not what I would consider life as easy and stable and
Yeah.
predictable. That's not true.
Right. Yeah. And it's also being more self-determined and responsible of what's happening in your
Mhm.
life.
Totally.
Because you are the one that is responsible for all. But that
Yeah.
also entails some kind of stress or stress management, I would assume.
Mhm.
Like there's sometimes so many things happening at a time, and you said it yourself, it's every day the challenges are different and new. It's not like one year is like another, right? In an entrepreneur's life, the first 2 years of building up your business are certainly different than after the third years, or when you start starting breaking even, or like going into growth and having now team members to manage. So the stress aspects change as well. So how do you face challenging times, and what do you do nowadays when you feel you are in?
For me, when you have your own business, it's part of your responsibility to manage yourself. It starts with yourself first. There's no way I can help other people if I don't help myself first. And it's not selfish, it's not egocentric, it's simply strategic. If you want to last, if you want to make a positive difference, you have to take care of yourself first. And that's an everyday job. The moment you start thinking, you know what, I'm fine, everything is fine, I've reached my cruising time, you're sure you're facing problems. So it's by taking care of your mental health, your mental strengths, your physical strengths. Every day, it allows you to face whatever obstacles or whatever, frustrations or irritation or even joy. You can face everything when you make sure that you have that baseline of taking care of yourself and being ready to face whatever will come. I have installed and learned to install rituals and habits that were not part of my former life, as you called it, and that I take that as a blessing because I had to, and because I had to, it allowed me to live and work and enjoy life much, much better. So I have my morning rituals, my evening rituals, and I make sure that during the day, I don't forget about myself.
Would you like to share what is your favorite morning self-care ritual?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I've read a lot. I've listened to a lot of podcasts and videos since I've created my company, and I've taken bits and pieces of many people that have inspired me or are still inspiring me. And I make sure that in the morning, my ideal morning or beginning of the day is when I can nourish my brain, nourish my body, and nourish my emotions. So to nourish my brain, I start by setting myself 3 intentions for the day. The easy ones, the one I know I'm going to be able to fulfill during the day and feel that sense of accomplishment. Can be giving a call to somebody, can be sending an email, can be taking the time to have a good meal at lunchtime. But 3 intentions for the day, just to set the tone for the day, and making sure that my brain is programmed to face the best day today, that today is going to be a great day and it's going to be fine. That's to nourish my brain. To nourish my body, I love stretching like a cat, and I love having my morning walk because mornings are special for me. Mornings means to me the beginning, means the beginning of opportunities, the possibility, and so on starts in the morning for me. So having my morning walk allows me to create, to dream, to observe, to listen, to exercise as well. And to nourish my emotions is to have, to either to listen to music I love, or to call a friend that is dear to me, or have a sweet talk with my husband. But it's to nourish my emotions. It looks like a lot, but usually it takes me less than an hour to do all that, or 45 minutes at most. It could be even half an hour. But it's a rhythm that allows me to face the day and to make the best out of my day.
Yeah, so you mentioned this like these different aspects, right? Your physical life, your mental, your emotional life, and how is this mental work also connected to energy work? Like, do you use energy work in the largest sense? Like Reiki, chakra work, visualizations, meditations for that as well?
Yeah. I'm not into Reiki. And chakra in terms of practicing, but I love meditation, short and long, guided and non-guided. I do meditate in the night if I wake up by chance, because that's when my brain is the most effective. So it's a great time to connect my unconscious and my conscious. And I love meditating in the morning as well, because it allows me to, slow down in my heartbeat, develop my senses, and guided meditation. I'm a big fan of a few of them, but French speaking and English speaking. And that really helps me, take distance from stress or from questions, from doubts and so on, and to really equip myself for the day. So I'm a big fan of meditation, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 or 30 minutes.
And so, did I understand it right? It's part of your morning and evening ritual, the meditation?
Yep. Whenever it could be because I want to gift something to myself, or it could be to heal from a tough day, because days can be tough. Or to prepare myself for a busy day ahead. So I take it as a preparation, as a healing, and as a gift. So depending on the day, that would be different timing and different reasons to do my meditation.
Yeah, that makes totally sense, right? And you said also in the beginning, like the most important part of your success, or like your critical success factor, is to take care of yourself first, no matter if you are in difficult moments or stressful times, or if it is if you are just having a normal day. But taking care of oneself first sets us up for a perfect day and a perfect life, obviously, as we don't go about and having our problems and then taking them into the world and putting them onto other people without first dealing with it ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it's a very important practice, and it made me also grow a lot to just like not needing to solve every problem alone, but to have first addressed my inner world before I start discussing or trying to solve something with others. It
True,
is,
true. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I'm a big fan of that, and I'm also a big fan of gratitude, which is part of my daily rituals as well. I think we tend to forget, and how lucky we are to be alive to start with, and to be able to walk, to see, to feel, to express ourselves, to do something we love, to have friends or family or great clients or great partners around. I'm very, very conscious that that can go in minutes, if not seconds. So I really do consciously take the time during the day, but also morning or evening, to be thankful for what is offered to me during the day or at the end of the day. I think it's something that we have lost doing for a number of reasons, or not doing enough. And I've experienced the power of gratitude and how powerful it can be.
Yeah, isn't it also, I think, an immensely important step into manifesting what we want to have is
Yep.
to already thank for what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, since we work around the same clientele, which is like people who are, say, 45 plus or even 50 plus, and maybe changing careers or just transitioning in one aspect or another of their lives, very often we forget to see what we have and just like see the uncomfortable moment we are in, and then we see, oh, this is where I want to be and I want to go there. But the most important part to get to wherever, which goal and objective we have, isn't it to appreciate what we have already, and specifically as 50 plus to also acknowledge everything we have is also a wisdom, and maybe scars and bad experiences from the past can still be something great to have, because we use this now in a different way. And I attach very much gratitude, my gratitude work also with that. Not just thanking the universe, God, or however we may call it, for all the beautiful things that I have, but also for the meaningful experiences that I was able to experience, and what they have made me. I mean, like, we are all the product of all the experiences we had in our lives, right? And I think it's so important to value what we have, in order to use this now to get to where we want to go, and see all the assets, all these assets that we have accomplished or gathered in our lives.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
it's beautiful. So yeah, this was really super interesting, exchanging with you about your personal path from a stressful corporate life into a free entrepreneurial life. And you impact so many people with all these experiences that you have done personally in your life, helping them for the next steps to come. And again, that could be right steps into entrepreneurship, or just changing career, or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Or a combination of both, because today, you know, the notion of work has dramatically changed and evolved. So it could be a combination of corporate job plus an entrepreneurship life, or some voluntary life and work. So so that combination and that flexibility was not that much possible before, but it is today, and even more so when we have a wealth of experience, life experience, and work experience that we can really maximize on, and potential is never finished until, until the very end. There is huge potential to be maximized and worked on.
Yes, absolutely. And I also see that there's nowadays, because of maybe all the new technology and what is possible, and the experience of the COVID time when we all went online, to not separate so much our private lives, our private assets, from whatever we do professionally. It merges, and it takes profits one from the other. So, like, experiences that we have done in our personal lives can be completely nourishing our business life. And I think it's so important to see, like, you don't have to decide to either have a career like this or like that. You might have it both, maybe not at the same time, but maybe yes, at the same, one after the other. There's not the need to take these decisions for a lifetime anymore.
No, absolutely.
Change and transition continuously, actually, right?
Yeah, things change, and that's a good thing. And sometimes it's pretty good not knowing exactly what will come up, because if we know, there's no surprises, and it's not realistic neither. But it always astonished me when people say, I'm not really great where I am now. My job is just a job, but I'll get the fulfillment and the passion and the real life from my weekend, or from my vacation, or from my retirement. But I don't think that is okay. I don't want to live only weekends and vacation, and when I retire, I want to live now. You don't know how long it's gonna last. Why should we live 2 days per week, or 6 weeks per year? That's not life.
Yeah.
So to me,
Believe
it's
in
important to do
yourself.
that every day and
Yes.
enjoy it every day, not when you're not working. But that sense of fulfillment between when you're working or not working means that you're not really fulfilled when you're working, and you're not really happy when you're working, and that's a sign that there is something to be changed and worked on.
Thank you so much. That's almost a beautiful word for the end. But I have a little surprise that I want to ask you. So I'd like to ask people who come on this podcast, like, what is a quote that is important for you or that you live after, or a favorite quote that you would like to share? And that is
I have a few. I love Einstein, and his famous quote about insanity, thinking that you can get different results by doing the same thing over and over again. But I also like, I'm a big fan of Maya Angelou as well, who used to say that people don't remember for what you do, but for how you make them feel. And that's what I like to transmit to people I work with.
that is something that you do. That is,
Thank you.
I can say.
So yes, and yeah, there's a couple of more quotes that I would love to share, but it's about daring and testing and not waiting. Life is too short to be wasted, and I try to make the most of it and try to help others make the most of it as well.
Thank you so much, Dominique. That was a pleasure having you here, exchanging and talking to you. And I say goodbye until the next time.
Thank you, Isabel.
Thank you for listening. If this episode spoke to you, share it with somebody who needs this message. And if you're ready for more support, let's connect. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing.